Hey guys, this morning I'm gonna talk about building locust fence. I always try to look this stuff up on YouTube. I love trying to learn all this stuff, but I can't never find black locust split rail fence on YouTube. So I'm deciding to do one myself, and got a little bit of experience doing it. So I'll teach you what I know, and it may not be right, but it's the way we do it. So first of all, you can look down through there. We've got most of the fence done. Typically, I normally always leave the bark on the stuff, so we'll cut fresh locusts and try to always keep the bark on there. But for the sake of this is my house, and I don't mind to use this older, rustic looking wood, and it's going to look good regardless. So let's get started. It may get a little loud when I saw some of this stuff, but the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get the rail to fit in there tight, nice and snug in there to where it doesn't come out. So bear with me on the chainsaw noise, but here we go. So okay, so what you saw me doing right there is I'd measure everything off the width of my saw bar. Because I cut the notches the width of the saw bar, so I want to make sure that my rails are cut the width of the saw bar. So every cut that I make, I measure it prior to cutting it. And you can see, one other important thing is I always pick the fatty end of the pie-shaped wedge. So you can see the skinny end. I always put the fat end out towards whatever side that I want the aesthetic side to be. So let's see if this one will fit. There we go. It fits in there nice and snug. I don't want it loose. I don't want big gaps, big holes in there. It obviously is a pie-shaped split wedge, so you're not going to be cutting a perfect square there, but that fits pretty tight, and I'll hammer it in. So the next thing I do is go over here on my post. I strongly recommend having a helper, but my wife's my helper today and filming me, so I cheat a little bit and I put some dirt in here to hold my post for me. But so next step is I get my rail level, running consistent with what I've already ran my rails. Come in here. A lot of times we live in the mountains, so the contour of the earth changes, but I normally have a measurement that I'll go with to keep it pretty consistent, but sometimes the rails swag up and down like this, so it changes. But now this is the tricky part, cutting through the entire post. And I want to make sure that I'm cutting straight. Like this is a straight fence, so I want to cut straight all the way through. If I'm going downhill, I got to cut downhill, obviously. So, this takes some practice. And one technique is don't just try to go straight in on the wood like that. You want to get your saw rolling into the wood and get it going, and then get it cut all the way through. So bear with me while I crank this baby up and get going again, and I'll show you. So there, I saw all the way through the wood, and then the next one's just going to hit right where it needs to be. But like I said, if it's going downhill, then you want to cut downhill. That way you're not trying to, it's not square, you're going to cut it at a slight angle. So there again, remember how I was telling us we always measure with the saw bar, because that's the width of the hole, so that's what we want our rail to be. that's how that should look. And if yours doesn't work out like that, don't be afraid. It takes a lot of practice to get them where they cut out like that. One thing I find, if I cut through on this side, I've got a pretty good square there. But sometimes it gets hung up and I don't get a good cut. The best practice here is to come around to the other side and try to cut up the loose ends. If not, you end up wallowing out this hole really big. It's hard to get a good tight fit in there, and it leaves a big hole. So I'm gonna set this rail back in and get it notched in there and show you that process, and then we'll be done. These aren't perfect, obviously, so sometimes you have to cut them the length that you need them to be. Like this one's a little long. Prior to me making that cut, I want to make sure that my rail's all the way back into wherever it needs to be on that last post. Alright, now at this point, keep this, you want to always get this hole wider when you got the post so you can lean it out. I had to add a little bit of dirt in there just to hold it for me, but and that's it right there. Nice snug fit. That baby ain't going nowhere. I can sit on that. That's the way it should look right there. And so on and so forth. One thing that we do when we get to the end is I don't ever leave these flat. I don't want to, they'll just sit there and hold water. Sometimes they crack and that kind of stuff. So I always crown the tops. I'll try to do another little quick video in the end when we get done with this and show you how to do that and get that look right there. So, thank you.